but there was not a pane of glass in that city that wasn't broken. Everything, it was like rubble that deep, millions. It felt like millions of bullet casings just everywhere. It was just pretty crazy. I was walking into this place. I'm like, what? Whoa.
Who were you with on this pilgrimage?
I know, there was this guy
Who were your parents that said yes?
The people that were there were people flooding back into the city.
Wow.
I was watching them come back, and they're like, they knew we were Americans. They're like, please tell your government to help us out, right? You know, fighting against the Serbians, which are primarily, you know, Muslim.
Yeah.
So that was crazy times.
The BeatiDudes! Welcome back to the Friday bonus edition of The BeatiDudes, a podcast for Christian men seeking to grow in holiness, walking arm in arm with each other, learning from each other, laughing with each other, growing in authentic fraternity. My name is Paul Kolker, and I am joined, as always, by my co-hosts.
What are you laughing about?
Well, if you're watching the video version, then you would know immediately. But I'm joined by Jeff Schiefelbein, who's just stretching.
Happy Friday, Paul. Glad to be back on the show with you.
What a flex. And Nicholas Bezner.
What's up?
Who's doing the what are you doing?
I've never seen a dress shirt.
I don't know. I'm just are you okay?
Testing the limits of this shirt.
There you go, the tensile strength. Yeah. All right, but we're back for a fun bonus edition of the show with none other than Matthew Zeik. Welcome back.
Welcome back, buddy. This is a big deal for you.
And I'm going to do one of these. I do this sometimes with the boys in the classroom when...
Dudes, if you're not watching on YouTube, you are missing it.
Flexing the pecs.
Amazing.
I don't know anybody outside of The Rock Johnson that I've ever hung out with that can do that.
If I'm in front of the classroom all day long, I just stand in the front. I don't sit. I have a desk in the back. I've never sat back there. But when they're working and I call someone's name and I start going like that, the girls like, stop it. But the boys are like, yeah, he's a man. Teach me.
Teach me. Show me your ways.
Boys, line up on the left for flex pecs. Girls, take a walk outside.
Get out of here. Oh, my gosh. Well, welcome back. That was a fun episode on Monday. We got to learn a little bit about your story about spending 14 years in seminary, which... I thought 3.5 was a long period of time. Turns out, no.
You're a short timer.
No, yeah. I just did a little blip on the radar compared to this guy. But welcome back. And I think we're going to learn, speaking of journey, right? 14-year journey in seminary. You do a lot of pilgrimages. Am I correct in that?
Yes. I've had the opportunity to go to a number of different places. Marian pilgrimages mostly over the years. Yeah, and I'm going to be going to Fatima. I've always wanted to, and I get to check it off the list in March, so it's going to be great.
This year you're going.
Yes. And we went this year in March, right? And then last April, I got to go to Rome, and my son and I, we walked that city like nobody ever has. I mean, we didn't even want to go to bed because at night you can get so much further, so much faster.
Oh, I'm sure.
And it was just beautiful weather in April, and we wanted to hit every, and if the churches were closed, and sometimes they were, we just wanted to hit every church we could.
But you could get into some of them at night?
There are some that we could get into. They're not many, though.
Yeah.
But you could still get to the church. But during the day, it was hitting all the churches that we could.
Is there a Marian pilgrimage that you've been on that stands out for some reason above the rest, or that was part of the formation?
Every single one does.
Yeah.
The one that kind of impacted me maybe the most overall was when I was a teenager. I got invited. It was during the summertime, and this was maybe 1991. I think it was 1991. I got to go to Medjugorje.
Oh, really?
And it was during the war.
I've never been there. Have you been there?
No, I haven't been.
We're
And
BeatiDudes.
I got kind of a free ride. There was all these, a friend of my parents used to take groups over there every couple months, and it was during the war, so no one was going.
Yeah.
Being prudent. But he had all these tickets, and he said, look, it's Medjugorje. It's going to be fine. And so I went with this guy. Wow.
If there's people listening that don't know this story, will you share? Will you fill in?
And real quick, can we back up for anybody who's not familiar with what a Marian pilgrimage is? Can we lay some groundwork there?
Start at the beginning, always. So to grow in one's own personal spiritual life, it behooves all of us Christians to remain close to the Blessed Mother Mary, So making a pilgrimage of any sort is, and here we are we're pilgrims of hope is what this year of Jubilee is called, right? So when you go to a sacred place, physically or even spiritually, one can do these kind of pilgrimage we're pilgrims on earth, right? We're pilgrims toward eternity. And so when we do these pilgrimages in this life, it just kind of helps us remember the bigger picture, that what doesn't matter doesn't.
Yeah.
And we need to put things in perspective. So we can go and kind of up our game and try to receive special graces to increase in our theological virtues and, faith, hope, and love by going out of our way and making that special effort to go to a holy destination where we can ask God for a special blessing. And when we go to visit a place, especially where our Blessed Mother has been confirmed to have been present here on earth, when she appeared in Guadalupe, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I've been down there a number of times, and Lourdes, Fatima, and then I got to go to this little bitty place in the middle of nowhere. So on my mom's side, I'm Croatian, and right there in Bosnia, which is what used to be part of the greater Yugoslavia, on the other side of the Adriatic, you have this little bitty town in the middle of nowhere called Medjugorje, where it's still one of those apparitions that's kind of Mother Church is kind of just, looking into it and investigating. It hasn't really been declared, but many miracles have happened there. And I got to go there and witness for myself the devotion. I was a teenager.
So powerful.
But it was during the war. So I saw some things. Like, first of all, this is my first time leaving the United States.
Oh, wow.
And we fly into this little coastal airport in this little town of Split, where there were like Roman aqueducts on the side of the runway. I'm like, what is that? I've never seen something
ancient
anywhere close to that old.
Yeah.
I just wanted to touch it. And then and you see that stuff all over there. These Roman roads it's amazing.
Yeah, so cool.
Yeah. And so anyway, we were coming into this little town, and there was this big bomb, way bigger than I was, just kind of sticking in the ground. Just hadn't exploded. And the people are like, yeah, things don't explode around here. It was amazing.
That's so wild.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy.
It ain't a statue.
No.
We got to go to this town that had just been liberated like the day before. What was the name of that? It's up in the Mostar. It's surrounded by mountains. Beautiful city that goes back to the Middle Ages.
Oh, wow.
With these bridges that go over the river that had cut this big gorge through the city. But there was not a pane of glass in that city that wasn't broken. Everything, it was like rubble that deep. Millions. It felt like millions of bullet casings just everywhere. It was just pretty crazy. I was walking into this place. I'm like, what? Whoa.
Who were you with on this pilgrimage?
I know, there was this guy
your parents that said yes.
The people that were there were people flooding back into the city. Wow. I was watching them come back, and they're like, they knew we were Americans. They're like, please tell your government to help us out, right? Fighting against the Serbians, which are primarily, Muslim. Yeah. So that was crazy times.
It's interesting. I went to the Holy Land in 2006, and it was a time of unrest. Actually, while we were there, Hamas won the majority of the Palestinian Liberation Authority in an election. It was very tense, and Americans weren't really going. Neither were most Europeans outside of the Russians. They're not afraid of anything. And our numbers are going up in Russia, by the way. But what was interesting is people had that, like, you're going to where? Because there was, bombs.
Unrest.
In different places. Blanket on the name. But anyways, long story short, I remember having this feeling of like, okay, look, if I'm going to die, I'd love for it to be on pilgrimage. Like, I think there's some sort of special grace that's why I was like there. I wasn't just trying to get a cheap deal on some tchotchkes for the kids. And so there was like a piece in that. And then the more you're around a culture, the more you don't feel so weird that, that 18-year-old has a machine gun. You realize it's just what they do for 2 years.
They're part of the military. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So what is that? you're going to Lourdes. Have you been there before?
So I was a day away from going. It was about 2 years ago when I was going to go with the Knights of Malta.
Yeah.
Because they take people that are either invalids or you know how it works, right?
Yeah.
They help people go over there to experience that miraculous place with those waters that are there. And in the end, it just didn't happen, but it's still gonna happen. I just don't know when.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're
I had a
actually
daughter
working on
that was sick, and
that exact trip is what we're working on right now.
Oh wow.
Yeah, for Benny. There's a group that we've been all the way through the medical exams. We've been through all the paperwork. We've been through all this stuff about, how would we do this with Amanda as a companion? So I'll just, I'll ask for a prayer. We don't have like a final decision yet. And if it's God's will, then I would love to figure out how to make this all happen. But it would be Amanda and Benny going to Lourdes on a healing journey. And what's wild is my wife didn't even know Bernadette or Lourdes. I'm not acting like I'm some sort of a genius on it. She didn't know any of it. And about, 8 months before Benny came down with cancer, she read the song of Bernadette and fell in love with Bernadette and the messages from Our Lady. And then all of a sudden the Benny stuff puts us through the ringer. And then we get this call from people we know locally and others. And they're like, hey, we want to, they call it a malade. Yeah. Is what they call Benny, like somebody in need of healing. Yeah. But the way they described it, I was like, we have to figure out a way to say yes to this. So
it's awesome.
Yeah, I'll be raising a bunch of kids by myself back in the States. Do you have a bucket list pilgrimage? I'm asking this for all the guys. Any place that I have one if you want to think for a second, but
yeah, if you want to go for it.
Yeah, mine is this is crazy. Our Lady of Kabiho in Rwanda. This book blew my mind when I read it. It's from Immaculée Ilibingaza, if I said that right. And we went to Africa on our honeymoon, and we were near Rwanda because we were in Tanzania, but we never made it into Rwanda. And we were talking about doing something really big someday with all of our kids. And look, I do want to walk the Camino. There's some other stuff I want to do. But there was something about Africa that we loved. And to throw it in and make it a pilgrimage to Rwanda would be incredible. Mm. And she predicted the genocide. She predicted everything. It's an approved, confirmed apparition that people in the States just don't know.
From about what?
Early 80s.
Oh.
I mean, it's extremely recent.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I think it was like, the people who were part of the apparition are still all alive. And
multiple visionaries.
Yeah. 25. So by now it's probably 32 years ago or something like that. Multiple visionaries. Unbelievable story. I actually talked about it once in a speech out of nowhere. I was in Cleveland, Ohio, and I brought it up. And afterwards, this woman walked up to me and she goes, I have to talk to you. I've been holding on to this rosary. I was at the 25th anniversary of the apparitions in Rwanda, and I had 2 rosaries blessed, and this one is for you. And I'm like, you what? You were where? And they're like, you have this part of like, I don't want that. That seems too, but then you realize she walked up to you and she's been holding on to this thing for 8 months.
That's why I said what I said and didn't know how or why. Yeah.
So I was like, yes.
Wow.
Funny thing is she ended up moving to Texas, and every once in a while I see her at Mass. I'll end up, in the strangest ways, I'll be sitting there and I'll turn next to me and I see her and I'm like, oh my goodness. And like we hug and reconnect. So it's really cool.
Wow.
Any, even if it's not bucket list, where would you go if somebody just said go?
I think Poland. I think Maximilian Kolbe has just been showing up, and we got Triumph of the Heart coming out later this year, and reading a book about him last year. And I'd love to go visit the place that he built in Japan too.
Yeah,
just like see his impact.
Yeah. That's really cool. Polonius?
Well, one of them that's up there, because I have been blessed to go to Lourdes, which was just a phenomenal experience. So I would also love to go to Fatima. I haven't gotten to go there, but we have that prayer now that we say as part of the rosary. And oh my Jesus, forgive us our sins, save us from the fires of hell, lead all souls to heaven, especially those in most need of thy mercy. And so that was given in as part of those apparitions. So I would love to get to be a part of all that as well.
All right, last word is yours.
Holy Land.
Have you been?
No.
Bro.
I know. You have?
Twice.
Let's go to the Holy Land.
But yeah, it's a BeatiDudes tour, bro. We're all going.
We're speaking it into existence. It's going to happen.
Yeah, I think I've never been, from a pilgrimage standpoint, going up to Golgotha and touching the rock was one of the most shaking things I've ever been through. Going into the tomb was one of the most healing. And the only thing that's ever come close was the first time I was ever with Our Lady of Guadalupe. And that was extremely powerful.
Wow.
So I sat there at a mass at Our Lady of Guadalupe. You know, there's like 50 masses going on at once because they're up in the balconies, and then there's a giant one. I mean, they're happening everywhere. And I can remember having this mass, and we were renewing our wedding vows, and seeing Our Lady, who's still present to us because it's not an image, it's something else, with my lady, and thinking I had my two favorite ladies together in one moment. It was really, really special.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Guys, little inside baseball. I cried that day.
What? No way. No.
Now everybody knows.
Yeah. It was I did it once. I tried it out.
Let people know that you
People come up to me at mass all the time. Is everything okay? And I'm like, yeah, it's mass. You don't cry at mass? I cry at everything. Come on. All right, listen, I want everybody out there to maybe say a prayer for where are they being called? Where is God calling you into pilgrimage? Because you can even go to pilgrimages in your own state in the United States. There's a Marian apparition up in Wisconsin, Our Lady of Champion. So consider what ways you can connect into where God is leading you, and follow the Spirit, and then subscribe, and 5 stars.
That's it. Yeah. Thank you for tuning in. We will see you on the pilgrimage that we call life. And for the rest of you, we will
see you in the Eucharist.
God bless. Thanks, Matthew Zeik.
Thanks for tuning in. If you'd like to join us at our undersized table, subscribe to the video version of the show on YouTube by typing @ that's the symbol @ so shift and 2 on your keyboard, @ the _ BeatiDudes on YouTube. We'll see you there.